Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Texas 93. So today we're going to get back to our F150 build after some racing for the past couple of weeks and some other projects we had going on. So we're going to get back to getting on our F150 build, and today we're going to start out with brake kit. But before we get to that, I just want to go ahead and thank everyone who has subscribed, who comments, who I interact with and help out. I really do enjoy doing that, and it really does make me feel good helping y'all out, build y'all's trucks, help y'all out with any kind of problems you have. If you would, if you're watching this and you're one of the 80% that hasn't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscription button. It really would help build this channel, grow it, so we can keep bringing you these how-tos and install videos that we do like to do here. Again, go ahead and subscribe, hit that like and notification bell, and share this out to anyone that likes car stuff or anyone that doesn't. Just go ahead and force it on them, make them watch. I really would appreciate it. So today we're going to get to our brake kit. So we are going to be installing a Wilwood 6-piston brake setup. This is their big brake setup. So this is going to come with a 15.5-inch rotor. So it's a two-piece. You have your hat and you have your actual rotor. They're going to get mounting brackets, your calipers, brake pads, all your hardware, and then brake lines as well. Now, on this kit specifically, and I don't know about the TBM brakes or any other brakes because I haven't installed those on my truck. On the brake lines for the F150, they have a piece on the stock hose to where if you use the Wilwood stainless steel brake lines, you would need a specific 90 that goes metric to SAE. Which I tried to find and I could not find. I think it's an M10 by 1.5 or inverted flare to a 3/8 24 inverted flare 90-degree elbow is what you would need to make those work. Now, luckily, I have a hydraulic store that makes hydraulic lines, brake lines, AC hoses. They are called Able Hydraulics. So they were actually able to take the stock hose, cut the stock end off, make me a stainless braided hose with a -3 fitting for the caliper side. And then I retained the stock fitting for the hard line on the truck. So that, to me, it made it a little bit easier. So fortunately, I have that close by. I will go ahead and put their contact info into my description as well if y'all need to do that for y'all's. I did talk to the guys there. Now that they know that I did this, I told them I was going to put their info into the video. So if you called them, if you're in North Texas, they're in Plano, Texas, so they're close by, for me at least. But that is a resource that y'all can use as well. So with that being said, I have already done a portion of this video, which we're going to cut to here in a minute, and that is me removing the brake lines from the truck and then getting these made. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to probably cut to that here in a minute, and then we'll continue on with the video for the installation portion of it. Now, one thing I did want to go over as well is on these two-piece brakes, so you have your hat and then you have your rotor. So you're going to have your installation bolts that come with it for the hat and rotor. Now these are going to be torqued down to the Wilwood specs, which I'll have to look that up here in a minute, but these also use safety wire. Now, I don't know how many of y'all have actually used safety wire. This calls for 32 thousandths safety wire, and we're going to be using the safety wire tool, so I'll show you how to use safety wire how to install it, how to wind it, and how to set it up properly. That way, if you ever do need to use safety wire, you'll know how to use it. Now, those TBM brakes, if you're going for the race look, I know they're one-piece rotors, so you won't have to do this. So this is only for two-piece rotor setups, which I used Bear on my 02 SS, and it was a two-piece, but it was already put together when I got it. So I didn't need to do that on that. But the Wilwoods always come in two-piece, safety wire, which does not come with it, and a safety wire tool as well, which makes it way easier to install. Another thing that I would get is some plugs. So when you take off the brake lines, you can plug the hard line so it doesn't leak anywhere. I just got 1/8" rubber nipples, put it over the hard line, and it's stopped the drip. So that's what's on there right now. That's why nothing's leaking on the ground. So that is something else. Also, you're gonna need some 271 Loctite as well. And that's pretty much it. So the next part that we're gonna go ahead is I'm gonna show you the caliper color that we got. I know a lot of y'all might not be fans of the color I chose, but I like color. So I like color for cars, I like oranges, I like reds, I like colored cars. So this is what we're gonna go with. So we have an orange 6-piston caliper with, let's turn it around, with blue writing to help match. So a little bit of color on there. And it is going to be hidden by those Bogart D10, so you won't see them as much, but I like orange. That's just my thing. I've got an orange Jeep and an orange Camaro, so don't hate me. So that's what we're going to be doing for the caliper. So with that being said, let's jump into the install. We're going to cut to me doing the brake lines, and then we'll get to putting these rotors together. All right, guys, so I'm doing my initial run through with parts for the brake kit. So as you can see, I haven't even started the video. So this is starting the video. So going through parts to make sure everything's gonna work, make sure I got everything I need. I was looking at the brake lines, and there was a fitting that I needed to adapt it to the stock hard brake lines on the F150. Now the part I'm looking for is an elbow that will go from M10 by 1.5 inverted flare female to I think it's 3/8 24 male inverted flare to adapt to the Wilwood brake kit lines. So what we've got are these lines, and then you have your fitting that's going to go up through the brake line holder. On the stock one, I'll show you, has your fitting, and it goes to a 90, and then it goes to your hard brake line. So I was looking for a 90-degree here. I just went up to my local hydraulic hose store that they have fittings, and they also make brake lines, hydraulic lines, all that kind of cool stuff. So luckily I have that close to me. I was talking to the gentleman that makes all these, and the 90-degree that I'm looking for apparently is a pain in the butt to find. Even he cannot get a hold of those specific threads and flares types for a 90. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this stock brake line, and he said that he could remove this 90 that's on here, put it onto a stainless steel brake line, and that way this will just go back to stock, and then the other end will just adapt with the 90 that goes from a -3 to 1/8" NPT. Or 1/8" inverted flare NPT. I think it's NPT. I might be wrong. So instead of this piece, he's going to make a hose with that 90 that's going to go here. So this is not going to be used. So your choices is to look for that kit, or look for those 90s to make this kit work, or if you have the ability to go to a hydraulic line making shop, a shop that makes hydraulic lines, then I would advise doing that. Now, I know most of y'all might not be doing this big brake kit, so the TBMs, I think it's TBM, might be different. I know some of y'all are going for the race brake style instead of the heavier 6-piston like I am. So that might be a little different. So it's going to depend on your application, the manufacturer, and what you're trying to do. So it might be a little different on what they provide, what they do. The race brakes might use the stock lines. Honestly, I don't know. I didn't buy them. I didn't look into them. That's not what I'm going for. I'm not going for a pure race truck. So that's where we're at. So I am going to go ahead and remove these brake lines and bring them up to the hydraulic store to have them pre-made, and then I'll be back. And then I'll get started on the video. So I'll probably insert this portion probably after my intro, and just to let y'all know what you need and what will happen if you go with the Wilwood 6-piston brake kit. So it looks like it's going to be a little bit more involved. You're going to need a couple of parts that's not provided, and or having custom brake lines made for you. So I'm going to get all this stuff pulled off, go up to the hydraulic store, get these things made, and come back and start the intro, and then we'll restart all this stuff again. So I'll be back. All right, so before I run up to the hydraulic line store, I'm going to show y'all how to remove the brake lines if that is something that y'all are going to do in y'all's brake kits. Again, I don't know every brake kit, just what I have here, which is the Wilwood. So the first thing you're going to want to do is break this line off. This is a 13 millimeter. If you've got a flare wrench, that would work best. So this. So you'll just need to crack that loose. All right. Now that's loose, we're going to pull the retention clip here, and then we're going to pull off all of the wheel speed sensors or ABS sensors, the line. So you'll need to remove these Christmas tree clips as well. And for my kit, none of this stuff is reused anyways, so it's not that big of a deal if you destroy them. All right, so now once we get all those out, we're gonna get that clip out. And it is a pain in the butt to get out. So I just put this pry bar here and try to get it out with some sort of leverage. That will go and stay in the spot I want it to stay in. There we go. Good grief. All right. So once that's loose, that will come out. Take off bracket, which this is a 10 millimeter. Don't really need to save that because that's not going to be reused. And then we will get the hard line off the soft line, or the rubber line. Now, you're gonna have brake fluid come out, so either put a pan under it or see if you can cap it to slow it down. I was able to find a rubber nipple for the other side that fit, and it stopped the leak, but I only found one, so this side I might be screwed on, and might just have to deal with refilling the entire system. All right, so once that's loose, you have your banjo bolt, your banjo bolt here, which is going to be a 12 millimeter. So get that taken off. And again, you're not gonna reuse this stuff most likely. Again, unless your kit calls for it. And again, I'm not familiar with every single brake kit that's out there. This is just for the Wilwood kit. You're gonna have a bunch of stuff leak out of the caliper and out of the line as well. I'll just leave that there to drain. And we will see. I've got some nails I was going to try to fit in there and put a rubber cap over it, see if that works. See if that'll at least slow it down. Okay, well, looks like that's about as good as it's going to get. So, all right, so we're going to take these up to the line store, have them remake me some lines, and then we will be back. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is get these rotors built. So you're going to have your hat and then your rotor as well. So this is going to go on the front side of the rotor. You're going to place it up, get it squared up. It's got some notches in there, get it squared up, and then we're going to get our hardware and then get all this stuff bolted down. We're going to run it sort of like, basically like when you're installing a tire or a wheel onto a vehicle, you're going to go into crisscross pattern to get them bolted down. But we'll run them in first with an electric wrench, and then we're going to go back after we have them run down with a torque wrench, and they are going to be torqued down in that pattern at 25 foot-pounds, and then we will install the safety wire. All right, now that we got those run down, we will go back with our torque wrench and get these all torqued down. All right, now that we got those torqued down, we'll get our safety wire and we'll start safety wiring 2 bolts at a time and get that done. To get that secure so that way those don't back out. Okay, so you'll get your safety wire. You got your tool here. Basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to wrap this around 2 bolts and basically see how much wire you're going to need to cut off. More is better because you can always cut the ends. So We will do it there and then cut that off. All right. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pull this through the hole. Over the camera. Hold on, let me see. So you're going to want to pull it through the hole. And then try to grab the other end. It's kind of hard doing with, let me see, put this out back of my head. And get those kind of even. All right, and then pull this. Wait a minute. Yeah. All right, so once we got our safety wire through, you're going to want to take the safety wire and you're going to wrap it the direction of the way that the bolt tightens. So we got uneven, so we need to pull that through, so we need to even that up. All right, that's looking a little better. So then you're going to want to see where your next hole is going to be, and we're going to put it in through this side. So you're going to take where that's going to go through, and then we're going to take our safety wire and then lock our pliers. Well, gotta get both of them in there. All right. And then turn about 7-ish times. To get that in. So now that you see that that's nice and twisted, we're going to take, because see it's a little loose, take this and do a sweeping turn while you're turning it manually to help take that slack out. Typically that's enough. Might have to do it twice. There we go. Now that we got that tight, we're going to let this go. And then we're going to feed this through this other hole. And then take this around. See if we can get both in there. Lock the pliers, and then you're going to want to turn manually, because if you do it the other way, it's going to want to turn on you. Now, once that's nice and tight, give it another little turn. Unlock your pliers. You got this nice little pigtail. Cut the little bit of the end off. And then we're going to want to bend the pigtail up and over. Which might be a little bit easier with some regular pliers in this smaller area. Actually, let's just go ahead and bend it the other way. Actually, let me get some needle nose, probably a little bit easier in there. All right, and that's it. It's a little bit looser than I would honestly like. I might redo it, but you get the idea on how that's supposed to go. So now we got to do all these bolts. So I'll do that, and then we'll move on to the next section, which will be getting the calipers taken off of the F-150. All right, now that we've gotten our rotors assembled with the hats on there, we've got the bolts torqued down, we've got the safety wire put in, so everything is nice and secure, nothing's going to fall off. Probably didn't need a safety wire. I mean, these do have thread lock on them, but this is just in case they back out, but I doubt they would. But just in case, we got it on there, we got everything nice and tight, not going to fall off. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get these calipers and rotors removed. Once we get these removed, I'll go ahead and start weighing everything so y'all can see the weight difference. I will tell you that those 6 pistons, they are going to be heavier. I mean, they're just a bigger brake, so they're going to be heavier. But some people like to know what the weight difference is, so that way you know what you're adding to your truck. Now we're going to come in here and we're going to remove these 2 bolts here, which is going to remove the entire caliper assembly. Then we're going to remove the rotor. These are both 21 millimeter sockets. So let's get that and get those off. All right, now that we have everything off, we're gonna weigh everything. Excuse my scale. I do have a actual part scale ordered, so it should be here soon, but right now I'm just gonna use a body weight scale just so we can get an idea on how much all this stuff weighs. So hopefully this works and y'all can get an idea. Maybe. Okay, so 54.6 for both rotors. So let's get that marked down. I think this is going to be easier just to do this in single pieces. 54.6 plus 38.2. So that is 92.8 pounds for the stock components. sit down here. Get this wiped up before my wife kills me for using more parts or more stuff from our inside house for tools and weighing stuff. All right, so we've got 92.8 for stock. Now, let's see how much these puppies weigh. $54.2. 54.2 plus 26.8. 26.8. All right. Whoops. So that 11.8 pound savings. Make sure it's right. Yep. So we negative 11.8 pounds going from stock to Wilwood. So these are lighter, even though they are a bigger brake kit. They are 11.8 pounds lighter than the stock 4-piston calipers, I'm sorry, 2-piston calipers and stock rotors. So not a bad savings for an upgrade for a 6-piston setup with massive 15.5-inch rotors, the hardware that goes on there. So still saving some weight, so that's good. So let's get the caliper mounting brackets installed, and we'll do that next. All right, so now we're going to install the mounting brackets for the calipers. These are specific, and they also give you a pack of mounting hardware. Now you're going to get 4 bolts, which are going to go through here, or actually through the knuckle, and then you're going to sit this flush against here. And get this to line up. So we just need to figure out orientation on it and how it's going to line up. So we need to figure that out. Let's see. It has a right and a left. So you're going to have 2 bolts with washers behind them, and then between the mounting bracket and the knuckle here, you're going to have another washer that's going to shim it out a little bit. So you're going to have each of those, one on each of those. So we're going to have 4 total. All right, I think, looks to me like the dust shield is supposed to probably come off. It does not say that in the instruction manual, but let's remove that and see. Okay, so yeah. we're gonna get those and we're gonna tighten them up. Basically what we're doing here is we're gonna get this set, tighten it up, get the rotor on, get the caliper on, make sure everything is squared up and there's no weird run out on it. Once we figure that out, we'll take one out at a time, put red lock tight, put it back in, torque it down. Same thing with this one and on the other side as well. So that's the way that we're gonna be doing this. All right, now that we've got that on, we can slide our caliper on and then we'll get 3 lug nuts and put it on to keep the rotor attached. All right, let's get a couple lug nuts, run them down. So they're nice and tight. All right, so once we get that on, we can check to see if it clears everything, which it seems that it does. That all looks good. All right. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get 2 shims, put them on these standout studs for the caliper, and then we're going to lightly grease these threads as well and slide the caliper on. All right, so I just used some opened motor oil that I had to grease up those threads. So the next thing we're gonna do is get our calipers and place them up there. And they are right and left. Okay, so after messing with this, I actually didn't have the rotor bolted down all the way, so it was actually knocked out a little bit, so that's why it wasn't fitting. So I did not have to add any spacers. So I don't know if I can see. And now it's all squared up inside the caliper. So now that we have that done, we can go ahead and move on to the next step. Okay, so now that everything is lined in there, we're going to remove these bolts. I'm going to move one at a time. All right, and then we are going to get some Loctite 271, and then these are going to be torqued down to 120 foot-pounds. right? Those aren't going anywhere. All right, so the next thing we're gonna need to do is remove these two caliper pad retaining pins. You have a retaining clip in there. We're gonna pull that out and then pull these pins out so we can get the pads in. All right, get those bad boys knocked out and let's get the brake pads. Get them put inside here. Oh, too far. All right, these pins go back in, you just slide them through. I have to move some stuff around. Probably just get a punch. Yeah, that one's a little stiff. Then we just need to make sure that these seat all the way down in there so we can put our retaining clip back in. But that is what's going to secure these pads from coming out. As you see, they go through the hole in the actual pad, so that's what gets them in and out. So when you do a brake swap on here, if your rotors aren't completely screwed up, then you can just pull these pins, throw some pads in there, and then call it a day. But it's going to depend on how your rotor is. So we get these snap rings. Try to get them in there. I hate these things. All right, once you get those snapped in there, test everything, pull on it, make sure those pins don't come out so everything is retained. We can move on. All right, so after we get all this stuff set, we're gonna go ahead and install the caliper retaining bolts. These are gonna be a 12 point, and I think they're 9/16. So we're gonna run these down and then torque them down to 65 foot-pounds. All right, once we get those snug down there, get our torque wrench, set it to 65. All right, we got those torqued down. Get these lug nuts removed. Spin that around. That's nice and free. So the next thing we're going to want to do is get the brake lines installed as well. So we're going to hook those up and run them. Get all this stuff cleaned up. Crap. All right, I forgot a step. I did not put these washers on the caliper mounting bracket bolts or nuts. So let me get those back off, redo it. Sometimes you just miss stuff. Okay, now that should be done correctly. So washers and nuts on those. So now we're going to go ahead and run the brake line. So we're going to need to get 90. You have the flare portion go into the -3 AN fitting. And then this side is going to go into the caliper. All right, so on the 90 that came with the stainless steel brake line kit, this is literally the only piece that we're going to use from that kit that I purchased is this 90, because we do need this 90. This is going to go into the hose. This is going to go into the caliper. We're going to need to seal these, so we're going to use some thread sealant on here. So you can use this, you can use tape, whatever you have to help keep brake fluid from leaking out everywhere. All right, so we just put the L bracket in, get that in. It looked like it bottoms out to where it's down, so I had to reclock it up, but it's tight, so it's not gonna come out. So the next thing we're going to want to do is going to get the brake lines that we had Abel's Hydraulics make for us with the stock retention clip. We'll go ahead and get this put back in. Get that nice and steady, and then we will get our hose. And this side does not need any Teflon because the way the flares are set up, we just need to get that tightened down with a wrench, and then we'll get the other side. Actually, do I have? So again, this is a -3. So if you got any AN wrenches, that's where this is going to come in handy. All right, now that we've gotten the brake line installed on the caliper and gotten the retaining clip put in, I haven't installed the hard line yet. We're going to go ahead and get these bundle taken care of. So the only thing that I'm going to put into this clip is going to be the ABS sensor line. Is that the ABS sensor line? Yeah, I think it's ABS. ABS or speed. Anyways, this longer one does not have the cloth on there, I'm going to put in here to keep up off the CV axle, and then I'm just going to zip tie all the rest of this stuff together to keep this up and out of the way. Your truck might be different, your brakes might be different, so every kit's going to be a little different, so you might have to figure out what's the best case for your specific installation. All right, so we got this zip tied, we got the hose clamp on there to retain that. So it's in between these two rubber pieces, so no matter what, even if it droops down all the way, it's not gonna really touch. But I'll take a look at it. Actually, yeah. All right, then we got all this stuff zip tied together and keep it out. The brake line is not going to come into contact with anything, so we should be good there. So we'll get the hard line installed, and then we will do the other side. All right, and I think this is a 13 millimeter. Yes. So if you got a flare nut wrench, or a flare wrench, that might be a little easier to grab onto these things. If not, 13 millimeter should be fine. All right, and then we got that thing tightened down. Clean that up a little bit, make sure there's no leaks. And then we're gonna move on to the other side and get that side done. All right, we're gonna move on to the other side, and then we'll move on to flushing the brake system, or bleeding the brake system. And we're gonna do that with a tool that I have that works off air, so it pulls all the fluid out. But there is a pattern to do for the 6 pistons, because you have 2 bleed screws, one on top and one on bottom. So there is a process, but we'll get to that after we get the other side done. So let me get that done and we'll start bleeding this thing out. All right, so we've got both sides installed. So we've got calipers on, rotors on, brake lines done, everything secured with zip ties, hose clamp on, everything torqued down on both sides, so everything's looking good. So the next thing we're going to want to do is to bleed the system. So again, we got all this done, everything's done. So we're going to go ahead and fill the reservoir. Since it has been leaking, it looks like it's pretty much empty. I did have to go up to the store. I didn't realize that the Ford was a .4 system, which is just a higher temp, higher boiling temp for your brake fluid. So because it asked for that, I'm going to go back with it. And if I need to get aggressive with the brakes, the brake fluid won't boil at a lower temp. So let's go ahead and fill up the system, and then we'll start bleeding. And also try not to get brake fluid on stuff because it will eat paint. So be careful. So get that filled up, and then we will start bleeding. The truck, you can leave the cap off, and then on the 6 pistons, what we're going to do is we're going to bleed the top ones. So the top ones are what's bled. They have a bottom one too, but that's just so that you can orient them in different positions. So it will just depend on which side is what. So again, we'll start bleeding with the top one on the passenger side. So you always bleed furthest away from the master cylinder. All right, so that is a 1/4 inch. So they have changed those. They used to be 8s. All right, so we'll just leave that open for a minute, and then we will get our suctioning tool. So if you have one person, then you can do this. There are multiple tools out there that will allow you to bleed by yourself. So let me get it hooked up, and then we'll go from there. All right, so the bleeding tool that I use, I think I got this off Amazon. Basically it works off of your compressor. So you put air to it, hold down the trigger, and it will pull vacuum from the brake lines. So if you feel here, you can feel it sucking in. So, and then you'll be able to see the brake fluid come through here. Once you get no bubbles, then you know that caliper and lines are full and don't have any air, and then we can move on to the other side. Also, while you're doing this, make sure that while you're sucking through the brake line that you're watching the amount of brake fluid that's in the reservoir as well, because you don't want to completely drain that. Otherwise, you're going to be back at square one. All right, only got some fluid coming out. There we go. All right, so that one is bled. When you're doing this, if you're using one of these air tools, there's a very fine line between it sucking too much and it always looks like it has air, and it coming out steady. So you're gonna have to look at your tool and look at everything and decide on how that tool works and what's best for that one. That one I kind of have to play with and sit there and modulate it so it doesn't pull too much. Otherwise, it looks like it's pulling air all the time. So it's a very small window that's actually working properly in. So now we will do the other side. Now before we move on to this side, we're going to check the reservoir, make sure it's still topped off, which it's not. So add until it goes to max fill line. All right, that is topped off. Now let's get to bleeding this side. Now once that is bled, we're going to check the reservoir again, top it off, clean up all this mess, throw the wheels back on it, and then we are going to need to bed the brake pads in. Your braking procedure is going to depend on your manufacturer, so please follow that. I will not be going through that on this video because every one of these manufacturers have a different bedding procedure, so just please follow your instructions. It'll tell you mile per hour, how many stops, what braking distance to use, all that kind of stuff. So just follow the manufacturer's recommendation on their specific kit. That's about how much fluid we just pulled out of there. So let's plug the reservoir again, and then we'll top that off as well. Once you top off your reservoir, clean up any spillage that might be on the reservoir. You don't want that stuff hanging out and getting on any paint or anything. Replace the cap. Remove, don't put this cap there. All right, get that one on. We'll get the wheels on, and then we'll get it set on the ground and see what she looks like. All right, so we've done the brake, big brake kit, and unfortunately I have run into an issue. So the custom Bogart wheels that I ordered, I did send them the specs for the brakes. They do not clear, so I am stuck. Unfortunately, if you can see, so this is going to be the end of the video really, is that it makes contact and it's still not sitting on the hat. So the back spacing is incorrect. I don't know if y'all can see that, but that is where I'm at. So that's basically what it was supposed to look like, but I'm not going to be able to get any further than this. So I've already sent Bogart a email with pictures just to see what they can do, if they can help me out getting this squared away. So I will see what happens with that. So since we're kind of stuck right now with that, I do not know what is going to come over the next few weeks as far as install videos. I'm going to be at the track on this Saturday testing out the car. We put a new AccuSump system on the ZL1 to maintain oil pressure. So we're going to be doing some recording at the track this Saturday. So that will probably be the next video after that, just so I can get some content out for y'all. But this is where we're at. We're kind of stuck. So just want to let y'all know. So for the header install, because that is something that I am going to get to, I'm just waiting for some stuff. I am going to go ahead and pull the trans at the same time when I do the header. So I'm going to do it from underneath. but I'm also going to pull the trans. I ordered a Circle D torque converter for the truck to have a little bit higher stall. I think it's around 32 or 33 100 RPM. So I figured since that's going to be installed, I might as well just pull everything at once. I'll split it up into 2 videos. Do the header install, because that'll be the same regardless, and do a trans pull and showing y'all how to replace a torque converter, and pull everything out of there if that's something that y'all want to do. But that'll be two separate videos. So one for header install and one for the trans and transfer case, pull that stuff out, put the torque converter in, and then get everything buttoned up. So that is my plan for that. So that is coming. I have now hit a snag, so my timeline is changed. Also, I'm waiting on Circle D to send me the torque converter. It's on back order now as well. So a lot of things not really going my way right now. So with that being said, we're also going to be doing a interior install video. I just got some sound deadening material that I wanted to use for this project. So we're going to be doing sound deadening. I went ahead and ordered a new carpet as well, since some of y'all wanted to see that done. So we're going to literally strip the interior out and we're going to install carpet, sound deadening material, center console, leather. So we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff. I already sent in the steering wheel, the Raptor steering wheel, to get rewrapped in leather. That's going to match this and have the same stitching color, and then it's going to have this same French stitch that's in these seats will be on the steering wheel as well, so everything will match. So that will also be coming. A lot of this though is going to depend on the wheel situation, on when I get that. So those are the things I have planned. I also have another item that I'm going to go ahead and install. After I was at Texas 2K, I was able to talk to a couple of the Coyote guys there, and we talked about my project, what I got going on. So they recommended a bracket to retain tension on the crankshaft stub where the harmonic balancer is. Because apparently those tend to break when you start pushing a decent amount of horsepower on a supercharged vehicle. The strain on that usually snaps that snout, which I was unaware of. So that was news to me. So I ordered that, so that's coming. We're going to be doing an install video on that. If I get that soon, I might be able to do that with a struck in the air if it's stuck on the lift because of the tire. So that might be something I can do in the meantime as well, if I can get that as well. But that is going to wrap it up for today's install video. So yeah, we're stuck, but we got the brakes done, bled, everything's bolted down, torqued down. So we should be ready to go. So if you would, please go ahead and subscribe, hit that like and notification bell, share this out to all your friends, and we'll catch you on the next one.